Hey everybody, this is Ryan here with Nerd Cave Gaming, and today we're going to be talking about the map Labs in Escape from Tarkov. Now, everybody who plays Tarkov knows what Labs is, but there's a very large amount of the player base, regardless of how many hours they have, that never actually play the map, and despite it being one of the most densely loot populated maps, especially for high tier loot in the game, they don't play it. Now, there's several reasons for this. The number one usually being cheaters. Now, I'm not going to say that Labs is immune from the cheating problem that all maps face in Escape from Tarkov, and it probably does have a few more cheaters than most other maps. The difference is that when you die on Labs, it often feels extra bad. And that's because you typically bring in your best gear, or you have to pay for that Labs access card, and it just makes every single death hurt a little bit more. Um, but in this video, I'm going to show you that even with the occasional cheater on Labs, that this map is not only an option that you should be considering, but is one of the best options to make money in Escape from Tarkov. And most of the other reasons that people typically avoid Labs just comes down to them not knowing how to play Labs, or trying to play Labs in a way that does not suit their play style. So even if your gameplay doesn't look like this on Labs, bitch! That's you're still gonna be able to get out with loot like this. Let X, what? What? Let X, let X. I've never. Oh, yeah, let X. It's not bad. Holy shit, and a GPU? Now, to do that, we're going to talk about two things. One being the kit you bring, which we'll get to in a minute. But more importantly, we're going to talk about the spawns in Labs and how each spawn is going to directly impact the way you play on Labs. Now, if you're Landmark or Glorious and you can run through the map, wipe the lobby, by all means, go ahead and do it. That's really fun, but not everybody can do that. And there's a reason people go in and watch them. And I would love for everyone to try and play like that. But the reality is, those guys have thousands and thousands of hours, some of them thousands and thousands just in Labs. So expecting others to play that way is just unrealistic. And even they will tell you it is not the best way to make money. So many people see how these streamers play on Labs and they think that's how you make money. That is not how you make money on Labs. That's not how you survive on Labs. So if you want to be able to consistently survive on Labs and get out with that sweet high tier loot, or maybe those hideout upgrade items that your hideout desperately needs, we need to talk about spawns and what each spawn means for you and how you will need to play for that raid. Like most maps, not all spawns on Labs are created equally. There's also the existence of the dreaded sewer spawn that is just awful, and it's not near any good loot, and you have to run even if you want to do PvP. We're not even going to talk about that. If you get sewer, I'm sorry, it just sucks. But I like to say that spawns are either PvP or loot spawns on Labs. Now, you can always make a spawn a PvP spawn on Labs, but some require you to go through a player spawn just to get to loot, and that's what I'm considering a PvP spawn. The loot spawns, you're going to be able to just run into a room right off your spawn, typically pretty uncontested, and get in there and start getting some loot. Fill your secure container, pay for your raid before you even have to fight anybody. Now, the best example of a loot spawn that I can think of on Labs is the spawn by residential unit. You typically spawn in the staircase one floor above it. You run down one floor, turn on your left, and you're going to be in the residential unit. Now, it is one of the best places to just pick up free loot, and you know if people are there because if they got there before you won't have a little alarm that goes off at each door. If you go up to the doors in residential unit and there's a little alarm or a chirp that goes off, you know that you're the first person there. I'm going to make another video on how to loot that area and how to find the residential unit key that is another key that is typically a 100% spawn in that room. Apparently, it can also spawn in the new double black room, but it typically does spawn in there. It's a guaranteed key spawn, and if you grab it, you can hit the residential unit while you're in the raid. Sometimes you find really good loot. There's bitcoins, other things inside of it. And even if you don't find anything, once you get out of the raid, it's a 2-use key. You can sell 1 use off of it for almost 80,000 rubles. So you've almost paid for your access to the map just because you got a good spawn. Not even considering all of the other stims and potential LEDXs or ophthalmoscopes that you're going to find while you're in there that you can just stick in your secure container to help pay for your raid. Now, I'm not going to go through every single spawn that you can get and what the closest room is to it. If you guys would like that, I'm happy to make another video on it. I just want to get through the rest of this video. The point that I'm trying to make here is that you need to play your spawn. If you spawn near green room, go to the green room. If you're running across the map, there's a high chance that you're going to run into PvP and not survive. What you want to do is get into a place where you can loot. And when you're looting, sometimes you hear someone pushing you. And guess what? Now you have the advantage. You have the audio cues. You're going to hear the other aggressive players that run around labs like crazy, and you're going to have a better chance at winning that fight. Or you're potentially just going to get a bunch of free loot and pay off your raid. So even if you do die, you're not out that much money, and that does not feel like as bad of a raid. If you come out of a raid and you spent 400,000 to get into it, but you found a LEDX, guess what? You still just made 350K. That's a great profit from a raid. And to be quite honest with you, it's probably pretty quick too. And that brings me to my next point, which is don't rush things on labs. A lot of people get nervous because they don't go labs very often, or they have a lot of good loot on them they don't normally have. Take your time, be patient. Tarkov has always rewarded patience, and it has never been more true than when you play on labs. You're going to hear a lot of fighting, a lot of shooting. You might not see anybody push your room. That's okay. After a while in your room, that's when you're going to come out. And you're going to carefully check your corners, and you're going to go, if you want, towards those gunshots. If you're happy with your loot, then you can just get out and extract, and you're most likely safe because the fighting has been happening on the other side of the map. Now, there's also the opportunity that if you do hear those gunshots and they start to die down and you make your way over there a bit later, you might catch someone out in the open looting. And if you catch someone that killed the rest of that lobby, you're going to have more loot than you know what to do with at that point. Now, I do think it's worth pointing out that you cannot be greedy on labs if you also want to survive and make a lot of money on labs. I personally have a rule that whatever side of the map I start on, and I'm going to put a line down the middle of the map that's up on the screen to show you what I mean by which side, but I do not cross that line. Once you cross that line, you're going into another group, another section of players that you have no idea where they could be at this point. The game has been going too long. They could be sitting up in a corner, they could be in a bush, they could be in a dark room, kind of like you would be if you were looting, like I was just talking about, and it's not worth the risk. Loot your side of the map, your corner, and get out. That is how you make a lot of money, and that's how you find high tier items and the hideout upgrade items on labs with minimal risk. Now let's talk about your kit. And I cannot stress this enough. Please, please, please stop wearing your best gear to labs. It is not going to matter. If you go to labs, the people that are shooting you are going to be shooting the best ammo possible. They're going to be shooting the Agolnik rounds. They're going to be shooting SSAAP, MAIAP, M80A1, M61, M993. You will see all kinds of crazy bullets. Your armor is very, very unlikely to help you. If anything, it actually hurts you because it makes your character slower, heavier, it hurts your ergonomics. It is not worth running your best gear to labs. I'm going to put some kits up on the screen. Now, as far as the gun goes, do whatever you feel comfortable with. I can show you a couple budget guns that you can run to labs to kill players that are going to potentially make you a lot of money for very little. But if you really want to run that meta HK or that meta mutant, by all means, go for it. Whatever gun you're comfortable with, I am fine with. Now, Is it going to cut into your profits for every time you die? Yes. But what I really want to get across to people is that armor is not essential on labs. If anything, it actually kind of hurts you. I would say that out of all of the raids I've done, if I go in wearing tier 6 armor and Alton, it really does not help me very often, and what it does is just drain your rubles very, very quickly. I promise you that if you're going to run that high tier armor, that really good helmet, that wrist T that you found, that Alton that you found, that tier 6 armor that you've been saving, you are going to have so much of a better time if you take that kit to customs, if you take it to reserve. I don't want to say lighthouse because that map is just filled with people sniping with high tier ammo. But on most maps, shoreline, customs, reserve, interchange, you are going to get so much more return. And you're going to have such a better experience running that high tier gear in a place where it might actually save you because not everybody on customs is running the top tier ammo. There's a lot of people running shotguns for setup. If you're running tier 6 armor and an Alton and they try to shoot you in the face, they're going to have a very rough time killing you. Labs is not the place to do it. Labs has players that are equipped to handle that kind of armor, and it honestly makes it not worth wearing. So please, just for my sake, please stop throwing away your armor and all of your high tier armor on labs. It's not worth it. And to be quite honest, I feel obligated to take it out whenever I kill someone with it. And it just makes me feel bad that they wasted some armor that you can't just buy in game that I know that would cost them a lot of money. Um, so what I want to talk about next is the fact that this same philosophy for armor and it not being necessary is not true for ammo. When you go to labs, I want you to bring the best ammo that you have. At least top load your mag with it, because on the off chance you do find that player that thinks their gear is going to help them on labs, I want you to be able to kill them. I want you to not have to worry about that. And their payoff for killing you is going to be very low compared to your payoff for killing them. The risk reward here needs to be very much in your favor. If they kill you, great, they got a 200,000 ruble kit. If you kill them, you're walking out with a million ruble kit. And the reality is that both of you have ammo that's going to kill the other just as quickly. It's not going to matter that they have tier 6. It's not going to matter that you have no armor. That is what we want here, and that's what gonna it's kind of gonna level the playing field in labs. Well, that's gonna be it for me here today on this video on how to survive labs, even if you're not a Chad. If you guys have any questions, or if you like this type of content, or you want to know more about a specific thing that I talked about, whether it be what kind of kits you should use and how much they cost, where to loot, where people spawn, anything labs related, how to loot the residential unit. I know I said I was going to make a video on that, and I will. And whenever it's done, I'll link it into this video. So if you're finding it after I've already linked it, congratulations. That's awesome. Please click on it. I also stream over on Twitch. So if you guys want to stop by, please go ahead. It's always appreciated. We love getting a new follower, new sub over there on Twitch. We'll be doing some giveaways over there on that channel, as well as on this channel once we hit the 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. And until then, I'm going to keep making videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.